What's up, everybody? I'm here with my friend Kent. We've known each other since like 7th grade, way back in 2007, and we've been friends and partners in a lot of different ventures throughout the years, from the founding of Unparalleled Movement to much of photo and video stuff. And we're wanting to talk about something that we both did back in 2013. It was this Dailies challenge.
So basically, the idea behind that is trying to progress a creative skill as quickly as you can by forcing yourself to iterate that skill every single day for a certain period of time.
And it's like one of the most hardcore forms of practicing, because daily practice is nothing new, but just kind of the rules that were like set up around it made it so it was kind of like the most extreme and turned up version of a daily practice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Basically, the dailies like distill down into a concept is you're picking like your very specific skill and you're trying to do like some form of creation or skill development every single day without missing a day. And the entire point is to not miss a day. And I guess you can kind of set like however many days as your deadline. Like if you want to do a year, if you want to do 100 days or whatever. But
yeah, it's like, I think different versions are like a month. I think if you're trying to like build a new habit, a month is really good. If you're trying to get really good at the skill that you do, if you're trying to iterate that skill that you want to be really good at, I think like that 100 days to like 1 full year is really those markers that you want to hit. If it's if it's like something that you think would help you in the form of like a daily iteration of your skills.
So your instance is like super interesting to me because it actually makes for a really cool story. So you jumped in with doing parkour dailies. So you should kind of like explain where that idea came from for you, and like I just like kind of like walk us through.
Right. Okay. So I think that one of the last things that made me decide I wanted to do those dailies was you were doing your daily 16s first before I started doing dailies. And I think I saw another iteration of dailies somewhere else that wasn't parkour. And I was like, oh, I think this would be really good for my training. I wanted to get much better at parkour and just like really like level those skills up. And it wasn't like, I don't think I was trying to target like parkour combos, but that's obviously what it ended up being. It just kind of like morphed into its own kind of like routine of like what the types of things I actually wanted to do. I kind of like found my like niche of that like training style.
So like what became your ground rules then? Like what constitutes a daily for you?
Yeah. So there were 2 rules that I guess 3. One was to make a clip every day.
Mm-hmm. So it had to be filmed.
It had to be filmed. Cool. I filmed all of my dailies and I posted them online. I wasn't posting them originally to like gain a following. I was posting them to keep myself
like accountable. Yeah.
So like just to be like,
and it's a great way to track progress too.
Yeah, exactly. You can see those over time, which are all things that were like so beneficial to my parkour skill and parkour training that I didn't realize I was like helping myself do up front. It was just like, this seems like the right way to do it for me. And I think maybe like it's probably in there somewhere like subconsciously, but I wasn't actively thinking like, oh, I'll be able to look back on these. It's just
so what was rule 2 then? Rule 2
was it had to be either something I'd never done before, so something new, or something that I found to be difficult. So it couldn't just be like, today I showed up at the gym and I did really, really basic jumps.
I did 3 backflips today.
Because I wasn't really feeling it. It was like I had to be pushed into some sort of like uncomfortable or like challenging situation every single day. And that's how I would like find growth, is making sure it was hard and or new. And then I guess the 4th rule was it had to be under 6 seconds because I was posting them all on Vine, dude.
Oh yeah, that's right. So basically distilled, it has to be filmed for accountability. Mm-hmm. It had to be challenging to you, so it wasn't just a throwaway. So you're actually like reaping the benefit of it. And then lastly, you had to do all of this complex stuff in less than 10 seconds for Vine. 6. Yeah, because then later they expanded it to 15, right?
No, Vine never expanded.
So it was always
Vine's
6.
Always in 6 seconds. I think it was like 6.4 or something like that. It was like 6 seconds and like 15 frames. It was like something weird like that.
I think something that jumps out to me is as a question is like, how much of your skill set at parkour do you attribute to the dailies versus normal training? Like how helpful was it to your career as an athlete?
I would say it was kind of not like the final push, but like kind of that like big step. Whereas like before my dailies, I had really gathered a ton of skills and I was feeling like very confident in my abilities. But then the dailies ended up giving me this like form of like polish and just that extra step up that like really kind of elevated to the next level. It was kind of that like, when you start an activity or a skill, you know, it takes a long time to get from where you like want to be to that point. You know, you're like, right. I'm making stuff. It's not as good as I wish it was. And then finally kind of hit that point. And the dailies are what finally broke that barrier for me to be like, oh, what I'm putting out, I think is as good as like, these are awesome. Like this is exactly what I was hoping my parkour training would get to.
I think it had an impact on your style as an athlete too, because of having to for every day. For how many days did you do it?
293. So I actually gave up before the end of the year hit, but it wasn't just like I hate this now. It was like
it wasn't serving you the same.
Yeah. What I wasn't getting out what I wanted anymore. Like I was wanting to do other things, and like the skill that I was getting out of it was like kind of like hitting a peak.
And so fallout from this for you, I think a couple interesting things. One, on like the cherry on top that wasn't even a part of this was developing a following, and then the other was seeing other parts of the parkour community like jump on it, like, oh my god, what a cool idea.
The day that Vine got revining, like retweeting, my stuff just blew up. Like the day after, it just started like just out the door. It was just going.
And what did you cap out at as far as followers go on there?
It was like 70 something thousand, I think.
And it kind of put you on the map. Like I remember a lot of that stuff would trickle over to
you'd see like
Instagram,
a few Instagram followers and stuff like that. Well, what's really funny is at the time, Instagram hadn't put video onto their platform, but when I had started doing them, it was like day like 40 or 50 that Instagram introduced videos. Like, oh cool, I can upload these to my Instagram too. But Vine and Instagram both required at the time that you upload, like you film it in their native camera app. You couldn't upload on either app.
That's right.
So I had to do everything twice for like probably like the next 150 days.
So it's like, hey, I'm going to spend an hour and a half working on this like line tonight. And then I finally get it. Let's film it 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 times, nail it, and then do it again.
I have to do it again. Yeah.
So
and like
that kind of reinforces the mastery. It's like, hey, you can't just land it once, dude. Like, because you can't always be filming. You can't set up your tripod and send it, you know?
Like some days I would take like 30, 40 attempts at something, and then I'd hit it and be like, oh no, I got to do this again.
Okay. So with a physical skill, like parkour or whatever other physical skill someone might want to try for this, I think a big concern that a lot of people would jump to, or like a hesitation they'd have, is physical burnout. Like, what are you doing for recovery time or whatever? And like, did that affect you at all during the dailies, or did you, some days like with parkour, was there a way for you to tone down your like physical output to do something that wasn't as intensive on your muscles, or how did that go for you?
Yeah, so like it was definitely something that I struggled with a lot throughout that, because like I would train really hard one day, like say I had to do something and do a bunch of takes, like I'm sore the next day. It's like I can't just go forever. So maybe the next day I would maybe try something. I would just like kind of shift focus. So maybe I'd try something that's like more mentally challenging and something that's like as physically challenging, so that like my body could not be having to go as hard, but it would still be something that would be kind of difficult for me to deal with. And so it's still it still like hits everything that I was trying to accomplish, and I'm still putting out something that I'm proud of. But just kind of shifting focus like each day.
I think the dailies are more rewarding, or you get more out of them if you're focusing on a specific skill that you're already passionate about.
Yeah.
I don't think that they would serve as a good tool, at least for me, as like a way to get myself to do something new.
Yeah.
Because you like to do something every single day, and something that isn't like practicing for 10 minutes. It's like, I know your dailies took you upwards of an hour sometimes, or longer. Yeah. Mine would take like 2 to 3 hours. If you're not really into it, like you can't make an excuse to skip a day. The entire point is you cannot miss. That's like what separates this from like a standard daily practice kind of thing.
And I think it can benefit you at any level, but I think the place you're gonna get the most out of it is something that you're already like decently good at, that you want to kind of like crank it up and like turn it to 11. You're like, I want to go from being like I have a pretty good knowledge about this thing. I have a baseline. I've kind of learned all of like the foundation, and now I want to crank it up. And I think that's when you're going to see the absolute most growth out of that practice.
I agree. I feel like it's a way to like approach mastering something or to get closer towards mastery.
Exactly.
And so, my experience with the dailies was the daily 16. So it was like writing a 16 bar rap verse every single day. And I don't remember how many I did. I think I did 250 or 300.
And you filmed them too, right?
Yeah, what I would do is I would pick a beat, write to it, practice it, and then record it and film it and edit it and put it on YouTube. And it was like the same rules for me that it was for you. It was like film it for accountability. And also I was like kind of seeking out that extra benefit of having it like an audience potentially.
Yeah.
And then the other one was like I had to write a daily 16 every day. I couldn't miss it. And so for me, it led to a lot of days, especially in like the early days of the parkour gym when we're doing summer camps and classes. We're there for, God knows how long.
Or like a build out.
Yeah, where we're there for almost 20 hours a day. It would be, I would wake up, there's a good stretch of the daily 16s where I'd wake up at 5 a.m. to be at the gym by 8. It was like, well, the only time I have to do this is to wake up early.
Is now,
And it was so shitty. But what I think was rewarding for me, and I'm sure this kind of fits in with yours, because it's a skill-based thing, there's a lot of creativity involved in like how you apply that skill. And so you could be dead tired, just in the worst possible state to do something creative, but you have to, and it has to be challenging. So no matter what state you're in, you're like forced to find a way to create or to practice.
It teaches you that you can like really dig deep and still like do it.
Yo, my brain is feeling jumbled up. How in the hell am I feeling like there is tons of stuff coming around, running up, fucking up? I try to escape, say enough's enough, but I'm getting tangled in my brain like it's double Dutch.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure there's probably some that you might not feel as proud of as others, but that's just that's just how it goes. But it was just showing up every day regardless.
Yeah, totally.
And that I don't know. I thought that was cool because then on the days where you're feeling good and you're months into this thing, then you feel like you're firing on all cylinders. You're like, oh, I'm fucking doing it now. Like,
that cold temperature outside would freeze us if we didn't stick together. I can get that. It must have been hard for you because it's my fault that we never been together.
Obviously, as you're saying, like not every day is going to be like your absolute peak, but as long as you keep pushing, like I ended up creating some of my favorite like clips and lines and like some of my favorite challenges that I ever completed because of that. I just like there were those days that I actually did peak out, and I was like, yeah, that was so sick. And I can like still look back today and be like, that holds up, and that's still so cool.
That's awesome. Have you thought about doing something like that again? Because for me, it's like I don't want to do it again. Like it served its purpose, and I'd be happy to like internally do a daily practice of some sort where I like have to focus on like I have to color grade a clip every day or whatever it is. But I don't know that I'd want to do the whole like public accountability, film it, like designate a couple hours a day. Like I think it served its purpose for me at the time, and it really dramatically helped my writing improve.
Yeah, totally.
But I don't know that
I think that's the kind of pitfall of the daily practice, because like you can practice something a lot and get a lot better at it. The idea of doing dailies is to kind of take that up to the max and like really grind it, and that's not always worth it. Do you know what I mean? Like it might, you might get those extra few percent, but like it's very like as you're saying, it's like you're very picky about what you would want to do that with, because it is a huge commitment. And so like if it's something that you might be thinking about doing, definitely be like, oh yeah, like this is exactly what it's going to like accomplish for me, and this is the skill that I think I'm really going to like benefit out of this from, because it's that you're playing that fine line of like absolute burnout. It's going to be really, really tough, but the reward is probably going to be worth it at the end. But it's like knowing that now, it's like, ooh, I don't know if I want to put myself through that again, because that kind of sucked.
I don't know. Are there any other takeaways or like advice you'd give to someone who's trying to do a dailies like challenge like this?
Just like I would say just like be very selective of like what you would want to do it with. But if you're fired up, the worst case scenario is that you don't hit your like goal of how many days, like, but like do it.
Like it's more important to improve your skill than it is to hit day 365.
Exactly. So like, and that's why I personally stopped early. I was like, okay, I've gotten what I think I want out of this. I want to shift my focus now. Like I hit my goals. This is awesome. And I like shifted. But like, if you're fired up to do it, just like go, just try, just start, just get after it. And I do think that having that public accountability, especially since social media is so prevalent, just like throwing your work up on Twitter each day, like it's great. And like, it's really easy to look back and like see those things are kind of like forever timelined, which I think is really cool and special to have that form of project and be like, look at all of this that I did. I don't know. I thought it was one of the best things I've ever done. But I don't know if I'd ever put myself through that again, but I think it was very worth it.
So to recap the daily challenge concept as we've done it, you have like 3 rules. 1 is public accountability. So sharing what you're doing with people. 2, make sure it's challenging every day. So you're not ever just going through the motions. Like it has to challenge you.
Yeah. Make sure you're choosing something that's like going to be worthwhile, that you're going to like you're going to enjoy to keep doing even when it's hard, right? If it's something that you're already not really like, that you don't like very much, you're just going to hate it. So it's like, choose something that I think that are going to be fired up about doing, even if it is like really difficult.
Hell yeah. Well, that's about all we got. If this is something that you want to try, like definitely comment down below what you're going to do. I'd be super interested in checking out people doing dailies. And you can check out Kent. He actually just started a new YouTube channel. You should plug your shit.
On my YouTube, I talk about, modern and past tech and a lot of photography and stuff like that. And just kind of ideas around, people and their stuff.
Hell yeah. You'll find a link to his channel in the description. Thanks for watching. Peace.
I can't even tell you how I have been disregarded. Fuck it, man, you can find me right where my car is parked with myself as I'm battling through the hardship. Start this, I'm taking it back, saddle the TARDIS. I'm armed with desire, paired with ambition to swear I'll do the shit that I never thought that I'd get to do.